Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Matt, and today I want to talk about something that is pretty important, and that is community and language learning. And to be honest with you, I don't see a lot of conversation around this topic, and I think it's pretty important because a lot of people approach the language learning kind of journey, adventure, solo, right? They probably don't know too many people in their lives that are actively learning a language or maybe even have learned a language in the past. And, they kind of just say, okay, I'm going to learn this foreign language. And, it's just very isolating. And, if you incorporate other people or a community into it, you can get a lot of gains from it and a lot of motivation as a result. So, when you're first starting out, it's very natural just to be very alone in this process, right? You're just learning a foreign language, you're picking up new words, you're learning grammar, but, the reality is that, it's just a long process. It takes a long time. And, I think for a lot of people, we're social creatures and we want to kind of use the foreign language, right? Like, what is language learning for, right? It's to communicate with other people, right? It's to get closer to other cultures, right? It's not a solitary thing. It's ultimately, to connect us with other people. And it's very easy to fall into this trap of just being alone and sticking to that, for hours and hours and hours. And I think for a lot of people, you would actually get a lot of motivation by, incorporating that social aspect into your language learning process. Now, there's different ways to do this, right? Depending on what you're comfortable with or what's available to you, right? Obviously, the first one is just anyone that's in your life, whether it's, hey, learning a language with a friend or a loved one or whatever, is a great way because there's that accountability and there's just that natural person to talk to in a foreign language. Now, I know for a lot of people, that's really, not an option. They have friends that it sounds like a great idea to learn a foreign language, but they really don't want to, right? It's a lot of effort, just have no interest in that. And that's fine because, there's so many other alternatives to, having a community in the language learning process. But that's probably the first place to start, right? Stick to people and see if they want to learn a language with you, right? Great accountability method, great way to just have fun with the people that you already know. I think the second thing to consider is just, real life events, right? There's so many communities out there where people meet up, right? Meetups where, they're practicing the foreign language, they're trying to get better, even, just people from a certain country or culture that are getting together. And that's a great way to be social, practice speaking and listening comprehension skills, and really get out there, right? And it takes on this form that is just kind of hard to explain sometimes. Because when you're using that language and when you're connecting with people, there's just like this sense of excitement. It just invigorates your language learning process. You want to learn more, you want to get better, and then there's this community of people that you're meeting and having fun with and building, experiences with. And that's amazing. That's awesome, right? That's ultimately why we want to learn a language, right? We want to connect with people. So get out there and don't be afraid to join those communities where, you can do meetups, you can talk to people, meet with other people that are practicing foreign languages or the language that you're learning. And even if it's not other language learners, even just people in that community, don't be afraid. A lot of people love to hear, people learning their foreign language. So don't be afraid, get out there and definitely use the language. Now, for some people, it depends on where you live, right? Maybe that's not an option or it's a little bit more difficult. I still encourage you to actively try to do that. It's so critical and it can just be a huge source of motivation and just progress. But seek out online communities, right? Be involved, whether that's with online forums or online communities about language learning discussion. What you'll find there is there's a lot of good advice. There's also some bad advice, but people sharing different techniques that they have, their victories, their struggles, and that could be a great place to be involved with, where you're getting better, you're getting value out of it, but you're just involved, right? You're not alone in this process, and I think that that's just so important, right? Don't be kind of this, solitary, person where, you have to reach this maximum, fluency before you express yourself to other people, right? You want to get out there as soon as possible because when you have that community, you're going to just see so many gains. You're going to see the motivation spike. You're going to see, more results because you're practicing speaking or listening or you're picking up new techniques. It's just so great in the end of the day. And I think the last thing to think about is, once you kind of get that base foundation, that, that base vocabulary, that base understanding of the language, get a conversation partner, right? And obviously there's paid options out there, but there's also a lot of free options as well. Meet someone where you can practice those conversation skills, because speaking comprehension is an important component to fluency. But get those partners, and stick to those people, because what you'll find is that over time you'll build a relationship with those conversational partners, and that'll be great, right? You're not only just learning the language, but you're meeting other people, and it's amazing, right? And you're getting to use the language. There's that motivation reinforcement. You're getting better, and like I said, there are those paid options, those paid conversation tutors, but there are a lot of free options as well. So don't be intimidated thinking that I don't have the money right now, or I'm a little bit concerned about my skill level. Just get out there and jump in, right? I would make sure though that you have a base foundation in the language, but don't be afraid to get out there and even just get a conversation partner. Even if you don't want to do the online community stuff or what have you, just take that small step of getting that conversation partner, and really expanding your horizons, not to just view language learning as this solitary process, but more as like a community. You're using the language. You want to get out there, right? That's why you're learning it. So don't be afraid of incorporating community into your language learning process. If anything, do it as soon as possible, because you'll find a lot of gains in the end of the day. This is Matt. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.